Hello. Let's see if I can get this all on the screen. Well, pretty close. I can go this way. Okay, we will see if any people come. I see Karen in the chat. Hello, hello. Oh, I see people. Hello. It's always very exciting when my friends roll in. I'm really excited about today's live. It is a good combination of new product and crafty time. So lots to share. I'm hoping lots of people show up. I know it's a tricky time of day, but this is definitely when it works best for me. It lets me get some work done, and it also allows me time to get ready for the live. Because believe it or not, I don't just show up and everything's done. I'd like to say that I do, but I don't. Hello, hello, everyone. So I didn't get time to set up a giveaway today. So we're going to go giveaway free this time around. Sorry. Mary's at work, but she's cheating. Oh, we won't tell anything. This one's going to be a little bit, I'm going to try to keep it, like I like to keep them around an hour, but sometimes it just goes longer, especially if I'm crafting. And well, Karen's cooking supper while she's watching. And you know what? That's when I do a lot of my quick video watching. Like I have to watch a lot of videos for work stuff. And I definitely prop my phone up on my windowsill and it's going while I'm doing stuff. So that's a good time because, you know, who wants to cook? I hate cooking. So if I can keep you company while you do that, that's great. Okay, so we've got quite a few people here. We're going to jump in. I'm going to do the new products and things first, and then we're going to jump into crafting. So what you're looking at here are the stash stacks from Spellbinders. I've shown these in previous lives, but I wanted to bring them to your attention again. I brought several of them home to incorporate into my craft room, and I'm slowly getting things converted over. And I'm telling you guys, these are such a great resource. I had the old version of these, a little lighter weight plastic. These are more durable, but I love storing my basic 8.5 by 11 papers in here. So my Nina 110, my 80 pound, my hammer mill paper for coloring. I have a bin for black and craft because those are things I grab all the time. And I just want them very close by. Plus, as you can see, I'm just going to open this up here. As you can see, I store, whoops, I don't want to hit my microphone, all my scrap pieces in here too. So when I have pieces of, which one is this? This is the 110, Nina 110. When I have extras left over, I just throw them in the top. And that way, if I just need a quick scrap, I can just open this up and grab it out. But if I need full sheets, there's a whole bunch down in here and I can just grab them out easily. So if you have those white papers, sometimes it's hard if you get them all out on your desk to remember which one is which. Sometimes you can tell by weight, but that Nina versus hammer mill can be a little bit tricky. So this is how I like to store those papers. It's not just for paper either, guys. You can use it for lots of different things. So to give you an idea, I'm sure many of you have stamp and die collections that have add-ons that just keep accumulating, and you want to keep all of those things together so that when you're using them, you can go to them easily. So for me, the most obvious one is the postage collage. I have transferred all of my waffle flower postage collage to one of the thicker versions of this. So this is the wider one. And everything that is postage collage related fits in here. So when I want to work with it, I just go straight over to my shelf, grab my bin, and everything is here. So you can see I have all of my little postage collage stamps in here. I have extras left over from projects that I might use for something else. I've got all of the dies, the blocks dies, the A6, the mini slim, the regular postage. These silhouette stamps came out and they are very postage collage friendly. I may move these out of the bin and put them more with silhouette related things, but for now they're in here. All of the stencils that have come out with the postage collage are all in here, and that makes it really easy for me to create with. So if you have not added these to your library yet, I highly recommend them. It's a great organizational tool. I love that they're clear as well, so that when they're stacked up on your shelves, you can see what they are. Or if you are taking them somewhere and you put them into a, I don't know, 31 tote or something like that, and you have them on their side, you can see, you can easily pop a label on them, but I can generally tell what is in here. So I like that they're clear as well. So there is a 12 by 12 version. I will caution you, they do not fit 12 by 12 papers if they have the barcode strip on them, which a lot of papers do. I was really disappointed about that when I first figured that out. I thought, why? Why would they have done that? Because most companies have these barcode strips. But the 12 by 12 size is great for storing things other than paper as well. So definitely open up your mind and sort of look around your craft room and see what you can store in them. It's not just for paper, and it's not just for stamps and dies either. You can use them for projects. You can use them to store punches or I don't know, like stickles, all kinds of things that you might have multiples of. Maybe you want to store all your little shaker bits in one or something like that. But they're stackable and they're super cool to have in your craft room. So I'm looking at comments. I'm flying solo again. I don't have a moderator. So Hudson is having a nap, so I'm quietly listening. Oh, yes, good idea. I'll try and whisper. You don't want to wake the baby. Okay, so stash stacks from Spellbinders are a great tool for your craft room. Okay, so some of these items I'm going to show you are not new, but they are restocked again and again and again in our store. And when we do that, that is a signal for you to say, wow, I think I might need this. Because it means that we are using them over and over and over again in samples that we are showing in our store, and customers are seeing them and they want them. So the first thing is the burlap embossing folder. It's been a minute since we've had this one in stock. Not like a year or anything, but you know, sometimes we take a break from things, but then, oh my gosh, we start using them again and we have to restock. So this is the burlap embossing folder. So I do have a couple of samples here. So I went through my little bin of things. So you can see that I've used this a few times. So this is the burlap embossing folder. This is the texture that it makes when it does the run through the machine. So you can see that it gives sort of an uneven pattern, kind of like burlap does. It's not uniform and even all the time. It is great as a background just like this, but it is also really wonderful if you have stamped or stenciled something and you want to give it texture. So this is the raised section. So this is the debossed side, but you can see that I had stamped this and then ran it through with the embossing folder. So it gives it that beautiful texture. When this embossing folder first came out, we did this a lot. So here's another one where I've stenciled, and this is the embossed side, so the part that's raised up, and then you just run that through that embossing folder, and it gives it that really nice texture. So it's not invasive, so it's not like it, you know, really takes away from your design or anything, but it just adds texture, which is really nice. And so that is this folder here. There is one from Tailored Expressions as well, but the burlap pattern is different. Not that I like it any more or less, but it is different. I have both of them in my stash, if truth be told. But this is definitely one I reach for quite frequently, and I really love that one. So definitely check that out. Next up is what is this one called? The Rustic Brick Wall. So we actually had a card that we were showing in a live last week, and the brick wall was part of the card, and we had several people comment and say, oh my gosh, which embossing folder is that? So it is from Honeybee, and it is called Rustic Brick Wall, and this is what it looks like. It's a great 3D embossing folder, and there is the debossed side. So I think this is one of the folders that I think the debossed side is cooler than the embossed side. So you get the indent of the bricks. So the mortar part of them looks more textured. And this looks kind of like a cobblestone walkway. This looks more like a brick wall to me. But they're both really cool. So definitely, if you're looking for a great brick wall stencil, this is one that you need. Christina, I love this one so much. I love all of the things so much that I use everything. I have a problem. I know it, but I'm proud of it, really. Okay, so this is also a repeat. This is a stencil called Fishnet. Very popular stencil when we had it in before. And again, we kind of thought the fishing stuff from Honeybee was done and, you know, we wouldn't really stock it again, but we're getting a lot of requests. So we brought it in, and that includes the Lovely Layers rod and reel. So you get the fishing rod and the little tackle box, and there is a fish there too. And it is one of their Lovely Layers dies. And if you've worked with Honeybee before, you know how great those are. Then we have the lures. The lures is probably one of the most popular dies that we've ever ordered in from Honeybee. But again, we just thought, you know, we're moving on to new things. You know, why do we have to keep bringing in the same things? Well, guess what? We don't know anything. You guys tell us. So the layering guide that comes with it shows you how to cut them out and layer them up. And you end up, look at how beautiful those lures are. So if you have an angler in your family, even if you don't, they make beautiful masculine cards. And then you also get these, Shelby would be better at telling you what this is, but it's the hook with the little doodad on it that's supposed to capture the fish's attention. And then also the bobbers. Oh, this is a layer hook piece. Oh, well, sorry. Yes. And these are lures. So this is just a hook piece, but really, really cool options for building those lures. And then there's an awesome sentiment set. So this is a stamp and die. And there is a die for every single sentiment that's on this package. And it works really great. There's some punny ones on there for fishing, but then there's also things that relate to the lake and just simply Happy Father's Day and Happy Birthday. Things like I'm hooked on you, enjoy, congratulations, happy retirement. So there's lots and lots of options on this stamp and die set, things that you can use for other things aside from the fishing. But it is great for masculine stuff for sure. And then a new addition for us, we've not carried this one before, is the Lovely Layers bugs. And you think, well, why do I want bugs? Well, we're talking about dragonflies and butterflies and bees. And they're really, really intricate with lots of detail. And when I say intricate, I don't mean intricate to put together. I mean intricate in the fact that they have a lot of detail on them. And that all comes out when you die cut them. So really great options. So if you're looking for some nature related bugs, those are good ones. Another reorder for us is the Lovely Layers Slice and Stump. So I went through my bin of goodies because I knew I had cut these out and showed them in a live before. The live will be gone now because we did it on Facebook, so it will have expired. But this set is really great, obviously, for anything nature related, but it works great for that fishing stuff. It also works really great at Christmas time. And as much as we would like to deny that, that is coming, it is coming fast and furious because we are ordering so much Christmas stuff right now. And so I brought the Slice and Stump back in. So here is some samples of the slices once you make them. So these are the larger two. You can see the detail on the die cut when you actually cut it out. And then it is bordered by the darker piece that goes on the back. So you can choose to use the darker piece or not. You can use them separately. And I kept this one separate so you can see what those look like when you don't layer them together. But this piece is designed to layer on top of this one here. And that's what could give you that smaller slice. But you can just use the pieces independent as well. And then they also have this really cool tree stump, which is also very fun. So if you've got things with mushrooms or little critters or anything like that, this stuff pairs well with all of it. And like I said, if you go searching for inspiration, you're going to find that they use it for Christmas things as well. So a really great staple to have in your stash. And I can't say that I've really seen any other company come out with anything like this. So it's kind of a unique thing. And it is something that I grab often as well. So that is a reorder. And we will try to keep that in stock for a little bit anyway. Speaking of keeping things in stock, the Honeybee Lovely Layers, Winter Birds and Spring Birds. This will go down probably in history as one of our #1 selling die sets. There is not a time that we don't have this in stock unless it is sold out and it's on its way to us. So it is absolutely one of the most popular dies that we sell. It does the chickadee and the cardinal. And I did bring home a couple of samples that Christina created for us. This one has the cardinal. Now, both of these are kind of the holiday cards, but again, they are not holiday related at all. Chickadees and cardinals are around all the time. As a matter of fact, if I look out my window right now, a cardinal just flew away. So they're around all the time, but there you can see how it is paired up and used with greenery. Okay, I'm not reading comments. Okay, people, I'm sorry. I'm doodad. That's what I would call it too. Okay, good, perfect. Just keep commenting. It's kind of catching the corner of my eye, but I'm busy yapping here, so I'm not really watching. That's the cardinal, and then this one here is the chickadee. I mean, how sweet is that? But see all the little layers on there? You just piece them all together, and you end up with these beautiful birds that you can use with all kinds of different things. Great for cards and also great for layouts too. All of this stuff can be used for layouts, like those little stumps I just showed you. You could make scenes on your scrapbook layouts with that as well. So awesome ideas for all of these great things. And there are layering guides with both of the bird sets as well. So it does show you when you cut out the little pieces, how to layer them up together and end up with the finished chickadee, and same thing with the cardinal. And you can play around with your pattern, or sorry, your cardstock colors and use several different layers of red, or you can ink the edges of them to define them a little bit more. And that really helps make them stand out and have those layers separated when you put them all together. All those little details really add up when you start to put these dies together. And then of course we've got the spring birds, and that's the robin and the bluebird. And again, just by changing up the colors that you use, you can turn them into other birds as well. They don't have to be a bluebird and they don't have to be a robin. You can definitely switch those up. I've seen people do things with the cardinal to make it look like a blue jay, because their size and shape is sort of similar. You just have to change the papers that you use, and then you can get creative with it. A couple of other really popular ones from Honeybee. This one here is called the Barnwood Planks. So you get 6 dies in here, which is kind of nice, because if you want multiple planks, you don't have to just run one die through multiple times. You can put all of these on here and get lots of planks, and you will want to use them over and over again. It is really amazing to create backgrounds with these planks as well. You can create boardwalks. You can just use one plank and use it as a log. There's lots and lots of options for this. And as you can see, the die puts lots of texture and detail into the paper when it cuts out. And then you can ink blend over top of it and around the edges, and you can really bring it to life and make it work nicely. And it does pair up really nice with the look of the wood slices as well. So you can do some pretty cool things. You can even make fences with the wood planks. There's lots and lots of options. So a great staple for sure. And then this is right up there with the birds. This is the salvaged brick stencil. Now, we had another tiny brick stencil. I don't remember the name of it. Anyways, they've already discontinued it. Sometimes companies do that. They just all of a sudden decide, okay, you know what? We've sold enough of these. We're moving on to new things. So the fact that one of them went out of stock and is no longer available tells me this one might be on that list as well. I don't know that for sure, but you can see the detail that this stencil gives you. And I pulled out a sample. Now this one I used texture paste and dragged it through, but I just want to show you the look that you get when you use this stencil. Now, you can probably go back and look at samples from Amanda. She uses this brick stencil all the time, and it's definitely a really great one to have in your stash. It's tiny, so it's a really fine brick, different than any brick stencil I ever had before I got this one. So I really love this one. We use it a lot. And then we had requests to bring this one back. So this one is called Lovely Layers Herb Garden. Now, this is packed full of greatness. I'm going to show you some samples. I snagged them from the store. Christina made these up. So here's one using postage collage, and it just uses all this beautiful greenery in all the different sections to show you. It's a great one to show you the greenery on its own. So this greenery can be paired up with lots of different things. So you might have florals in your stash already. You might have, different things where you can add greenery to it. Even that stump and wood slice to have, green pieces coming out from behind it. It just makes it look so much more realistic. And you get quite a variety of greenery in this set. And as you can tell, you can layer. So I'll just tip this card sideways a little bit. Can you see the dimension on that? So there are pieces that you can layer on top and pop up. Use slightly different colors of ink, and you get lots of great shading. And then there's also a really cool little sign that comes with it. It's a little pick, and it's got little inserts that you can add, pardon me, that do have words like mint, basil, thyme, and parsley on it. But you don't have to use the inserts. You can use this just on its own with another layer here that's blank, and you can stamp things on there. So anything you want. So if you want to have a little pick that you can put a little sign on, that's a great option. And the picks are shown really nicely here. That is some metallic paper that's used on top. I'm going to go nice and close because I want you to see what's happening there. Wow, I got to say, I'm pretty impressed with my video. I hope it looks as good for you guys as it does for me. But isn't that cool? So you can make the signs that are related to the herbs, or you can just make a sign and not do it. Now, here's another one. No metallic paper, but you can still see how cool those little signs look when you ink them up. So Christina used the impression for all the signs that she made, but you can do it without. You don't have to have that impression on there. And then my favorite part is this bucket. Now, I did a live, and again, it's going to be expired now, but I did a live and showed how to make this bucket and how to sort of change it up and really give it some character. So I dug through all my little scraps and I found the bucket. So I'm going to show it to you. But Debbie has a question. Where is the sentiment from? Which sentiment are you talking about? There are sentiments on all of these, and they could be from various places. I don't know if there's notes in here. Let's just see. Oh, there is. So on this one, the sentiments on the signs, they come with the die set. But this little here, just a note is from the Itty Bitty Sentiments, and that's this teeny weeny one right here. And those little stamps are so fun to put in little sections like this. But you could put that just a note stamp right on the sign. Like you could do that if you were doing it for something else. This one here, it's just the word hello, and it's called Tailored Sentiment Staples. And that was what she used there. She heat embossed that. And on here, this is from one of the Mini Strip's birthday from Tailored Expressions. So that's where all of that comes from. But the bucket, guys, the bucket. Okay, let me just pull this over here because I've got all the little pieces on this little tray. So here is my finished bucket. So I made a red bucket, and I did ink blending on it, and I added some splatter on it, and it turned out so good. But you could do this same technique, and you could use gray paper, and you could end up with one of those galvanized pails. But look at the detail that you get on your buckets. You get the little wood straps, you get the handle, and the little connection pieces up here. There's even a ring that you put around the top of your bucket. But I mean, how fun is that? And you could fill this bucket with lots of different things. You could put the greenery in it. You could use florals that you already have. But this set goes a long way. There's so many things that you can do with it. So we did order this one back in. Again, popular request. It does give you a layering guide, and it shows you how to cut the pieces out, how to layer them up to get the look that you want. You can use them as shown, but you can also separate them and do lots of different things. Do you know how much that set is? Well, look at that. It's $36.99. So I think it's really good value. I just think the amount of things you can use it for is worth it. Like I don't know. In my mind, if you use a stamp or a die set more than once, you're getting, great use out of it. Because I know myself, I've got lots of sets that, first of all, have never been used, or I'll only use them 1 or 2 times and that'll be it. But this is one that I'm going to reach for a lot. Like, there is a lot of things. It packs a lot of punch for sure. And again, any of the honeybee favorites that you guys have, and this goes for any company, we don't restock things forever. Like, we have to move on to new things. But if you see things being used, whether it be through us or someone else, or, on your travels around the internet, all you have to do is shoot us an email and say, you know what, can you still get this product? I'd love to get it. Can you order it in for me? And we do that all the time for people. So it's as simple as typing us an email and asking the question, and we're happy to do that. So, we forget about things, not forget about them. We just have to move on. So definitely reach out if there are things that you are after. Sometimes products are discontinued and we can't get them anymore, and, we'll just let you know, but, we can do our best to try to bring them back in for you. Okay. Another thing that we've been waiting a while for, and you're going to look at this and say, well, what is this? These are the ink stands. So I use these quite frequently in my videos. We talk about them all the time. She is a small business, and when we do order from her, it does take quite a while to have them made and sent out. So they're finally here. These are all wrapped up, so you can't really see them, but I will show you mine. So we have the square one in, and this one is designed to work with the oxide inks or the large distress ink pads. I'm moving around my room here. I'm grabbing one. So this is the size ink pad you're looking for. So you can just pop it in there, and the lid goes here. And what this does is it's got little feet on the bottom of it, like little rubber feet. And no matter what surface you put it on, when you put it there, it doesn't move. And you think, okay, well, what's the purpose of that? Well, when you take your blending brushes, I'll just grab one here. There, grab the brown one. When you take your blending brushes and you have a project that you're working on here and you're holding it in place or whatever, and you have one hand and you want to pick up some ink, if you have just your ink pad on your desk and you try to do that, the whole pad is moving around. If you have it in the ink stand, the reason that mine is a little tight is because I have a label on the front of my ink pad. Then I can move this with one hand and it's not going anywhere. So it is a very, very handy tool to have. So this is the one that's designed for the larger square distress ink pads. So whether it be oxide or distress ink, or like the original distress ink, not minis, okay? Then we have the mini ink stand, and this is for all of your ink cubes. Now, I don't know. I don't have any of the mini distress cubes here. I'm not sure if they fit in here or not, because his pads are a little bit different. You know what? I say I don't have them, and I think I just might. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just see here. Ugh. Do I have them? In that one. Hang on. I'm going to a shelf I don't go to very often. Do you hear all the crashing? Okay, I do have one. Let me just pull it up there. I can't remember if these fit or not. But all the standard 1-inch cubes from like Concord and 9th and Gina K. Oh, they do fit in there. Well, look at that. So they do fit in there. The mini distress inks fit in there as well. So I would have misspoke. Ugh, now my ink is in there. There we go. Put the lid on. So the minis will work in there. And the nice thing about this one is that it does all 4. Like, so you can do 4 at a time, because often with cubes you have multiple colors out. Mary Meyer says, yes, it does. Well, thank you so much. I wish you would have yelled that louder so I didn't have to pull out all my stuff. But that's okay. That's okay. I really needed to. Is there an inkstand for Lisa Horton pads? I don't think so. Not that I know of. We don't sell enough of that ink to order those in. And we can't just order 1 or 2 stands. So I don't know for sure. I did not look. That was not on my radar. So I don't know 100%. And you know what? I actually have 1 or 2 of her pads. I don't know if it would fit in the Tim Holtz square one. I don't think it will, but let me just see. Just so we know. I got it. It's right here. Okay. I'm thinking no, but I said that about the minis. Let's just see. No, it doesn't quite fit in there. So that won't work, unfortunately. And this would be for your standard large pad. So Tailored Expressions, Concord and Ninth, Gina K, they fit. Oops, that's upside down. In there, and then your lid goes up here. So we've got all of those back in stock. So if you're looking for ink stands, they are finally here and ready to go. So you can check those out. Okay, next up, we have a couple of new insiders from Tailored Expressions. This is the Snarky Birthday 2. So this is the second version. They are all vertical cards. Okay, so that you get multiples of each inside the pack. And what is an insider? Well, I'll just grab a card here quick. Inside the card, these are designed to fit right in there, and that it's so that you don't have to stamp out a sentiment. But insiders are often used for outsiders too. You can do lots of really fun things with them. But these are Snarky Birthday. So first it's the hearing, then it's the eyesight. Let's face it, you're old. So you get 2 of those. So you get 2 of each design. There's 12 in total. You're not just over the hill. You're basically sightseeing from the other side. Oh, that's funny. Congrats. Now you're at the age where your back goes out more than you do. Well, that's true. No cake for me, said no one ever. On this day you were born, and the dinosaurs roared. You're not old. You're just, well, yeah, you're old. Yeah. So I have a handful of people that I can send this kind of a card to, and it's really fun. So snarky ones are great to have on hand. Yes, people are talking about the inkstands. Yeah, there's lots of reasons you need an inkstand or 2. I'll put that away later. And then this one is Birthday Wishes too. So it's just a nice collection of birthday verses. Again, all vertical cards, and they can be used on the inside or the outside of your cards. So check those out. And then just to recap, we showed these cards and then we did a live, and this one is actually on our YouTube channel. So if you missed it, you can go back and rewatch this. It's a fun one. I showed these really great products, and they are not new, and they weren't new when I did the video. But again, we get a lot of requests for things that people see when they're out traveling around the internet, and we forget how cool they were. So we bring them back because we've always got new customers shopping with us, and we always have people looking for certain things. This particular grouping of products, I'll pull this away here. This is the Serene Scene Camping Editions, and the Landscapes Volume 2, and the Serene Scene Cutting Plate. So all of these items sold out when I did my live, and we've reordered everything, and they're back in stock. So that's why I'm kind of bringing this back here, just so you can see how they're used. And then the other set that we used and talked about was this Happy Camper stamp set. This does not have a die. It's just a stamp set. So you can't use dies to cut it out, but you can work around that. So here's a few samples that Amanda made last year or the year before. But again, we kind of keep these on hand because we revisit this often. So you can see that little camper that is featured on this die set here. So see that little camper in the tent. So there's the little camper, the little fire. And then the scene that's in behind it is created with this landscape scene die set. So you've got the trees and the mountains and the little moon at the top there. And then you've even got the little hill here. And then the window that it's looking through is this die right here. It's a cutting plate that creates the scene. Okay. So this it's kind of like looking through a window, and you can kind of see that this is all taking place, off in the distance. So it creates dimension, which is really cool. So that is a really versatile little cutting plate that you can create all kinds of scenes in here. Because it's sort of an outdoor thing. So you can do garden scenes, you can do things with picket fences, you can do your little critters, and you can do Easter, you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Anytime that you're outside, any summer scenes would be working really well too. So you don't have to use it with the camper. You can use it on its own for lots of different things. but it's a great scene building one. And here's another one. We didn't use the cutting plate, but Amanda used like a hexagon die, and she still created those scenes using the scene building along with the trailer and the fire. Only this time, this is water instead of land. So just a cool way of changing things up a bit. And here's a different shaped card, not using a window effect at all, just creating that scene on a mini slim card. And you can see all these sentiments have been stamped directly onto the card fronts. This one, she just cut out a banner on her own and stamped it on there. So you don't have to have dies all the time. It sometimes works nicely just to use your stamps right onto the front of your card panels. And then when I did the live, this is the card that I created. And I was using the Through the Woods trees stamps and dies from Taylor. Those are sold out, but they are en route to us again. So don't panic. Write that in your notebook. But I used the tent and the trailer and that cute little fire and created a card that way. So this is all back in stock and ready to order. So if you missed out, then just take a look at that. So Mary's got a question. Who makes the sticky note greetings that you put inside the cards? Those are tailored, I think. Now, I'm not sure if that's still something that she has in stock. And I know what you're talking about. Let me show you. Let me just, I'll have to check on that, Mary. If you email us, I will look. But I have it right here. So I've recently joined a card swap group. Like this is for my own personal crafting. I've wanted to do this for years and years. And I finally took the plunge and I'm having an absolute blast with it. So I just used this stamp set the other day. So this is called Cardworthy, and all of these stamps in here, what it's meant for is rather than stamping a greeting inside your card, you can stamp it on a note, like you can cut out a piece of cardstock or whatever, and just slip it inside so that the recipient of the card can then re-give the card to someone else. So this, at the bottom, it says, I made this card for you, but feel free to pass it on to someone cardworthy. Or share the love, pass this card on to a friend. This one says, don't squirrel this card away, share it with a friend, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea. And you can stamp these on the little note that you put inside. And that way you don't stamp anything here. You just put it on a card and slip it in there. So it's kind of like an insider, but you don't glue it on. You can use sticky notes to put them in there and put that little thing on there. You can still write a handmade greeting on it as well. They just peel that off and then they can re-gift the card. So that's what I'm doing with my swap cards so that people can reuse them. But I always put my stamp on the back of this card so that people know that I made it. But yeah, if you email the store, I can look into that for you. I'm just not sure if that's still available or not. So all kinds of fun things from Tailored for sure. And then speaking of them, I wanted to highlight these. I've reordered these in. They're not new, but they are, again, one of those favorites that are a little bit unique and that we get requests for all the time. So these are the Sundry style from Tailored Expressions. So we've got Sundry Sentiments Holiday. This one came out first. And then you've got Sundry Sentiments. Actually, I might lie. They might have been the other way around, but it doesn't matter. So I took time this morning and I actually cut these out. I did the Christmas ones because I wanted you to see what they look like and how they're so cool. So we do have a holiday one, and obviously it's got holiday greetings on it. And then this one is just a little more generic. And this one's got things like, hello there, just a note, get well soon, happy birthday, you're amazing, thinking of you, love you, and thank you. So your basic generic sentiments. But this is what they look like when you cut them out. So I love the font. The word holiday is done in the font that I'm really enjoying with this. And it's got like little curls on the letters. But the die actually cuts out the little curl, which is amazing. So you can see it on the Happy Holidays. Celebrate, it's the B that has that little hump. And then you've got the little curl on the Y for Mary. It's just a very nice looking font. So you've got lots of Christmas things. You've got the to and from, which is also something that I really like in this set. And then you even have one that transfers into winter and it says, let it snow. So I wanted to highlight these because they are one of my favorites for the holiday season for sure. And we did bring them back in, both styles, and they are available. So if you've missed them along the line, or you're just new to our store, or new even to Tailored Expressions and you didn't know they were out there, we brought them back in so that people can enjoy them. So definitely pick those up. They are great little additions as well. Okay, so that is all of the new product I'm going to share today. Lots of great stuff, right? Oh, one more thing. No more things. That's nothing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is share some inspiration from Amanda. I already made a card using this set, but I wanted a few more samples for the store. So she did a few cards, and I realized that I never did my card live. I created it when I was away at an event. So I'm going to create most of it live for you today so you can get an idea of how this works. But we are going to be working with a product from Pinkfresh called Floral Field. So this was released a little while ago, probably more in the spring. And we ordered it in, and it sold out so fast. And then it went out of stock for a bit, and then we ordered it back in, but we never revisited it again. So sometimes when that happens, the product kind of sits there. We didn't really have any samples in the store either. And I just thought, you know what? I need to do the live. It's been on my list for a long time. And we do have stock, which is exciting because sometimes I do lives and we don't have very much inventory left. But we do have stock for this. So you're going to fall in love with it. It's really amazing. So it is a die and stencil combo. There is no stamp set for this, so there's no stamping involved. And what it creates is this beautiful, where is it? Here we go. This beautiful backdrop of flowers. And you can ink them up in any color combination that you want. And I'm going to show you a few different ones here today. And literally, you don't have to do anything else to the front of your card, but add a sentiment, and it is amazing. So there are videos out there and inspiration out there where they make see-through cards, because if you put a sheet of acetate behind these florals, you can see through because there's lots of openings. And I'm just going to show you the die when you cut it out. See what happens when you cut the die out? See all the openings that it makes? That you can see through to the inside of your card, which is really cool. So it is a very unique die. Again, I have lots of florals in my stash, but this one was really something different. And so I like to add things like that to my stash because they're not like everything else. They really create a very cool look. So this is what the die looks like when you cut it out on its own. And you can use it just like this with no stenciling on it at all. The die does do lots of etching and things in the cardstock, so gives lots of detail. You could even ink blend a panel or choose a color of cardstock and cut this out and use it like this without using the stencils. But if you want to use the stencils, you can color up your flowers, excuse me, in lots of layers in any color combination that you want. So here is just one. Here's another one. And then we're going to create one as well. So this one here, Amanda didn't even use the full height of the die because the die will take up the full panel of your card. But you can see that this is lowered down to allow for some of that background to show through. And she just cut off part of the bottom, which I like the option to do that too. And this particular die here, this lattice look, that is another die that we're featuring today, and it is called the Scalloped Grid. Now this die is also very versatile and can do lots of things with it, but in this case Amanda cut off part of it and kind of used it to make it look like a fence over top of the flowers. So you're looking through the fence and there are all the flowers in the garden, which is a really cool concept. And you can see that you can use larger word dies, or you can use just smaller sentiments to create your card front with the flowers. And then just to show you how versatile this die can be, here's a card using just the lattice on an ink blended background with just a little floral design in the bottom and sentiments on the top. So the lattice die on its own is also pretty spectacular. And here's a little more masculine looking card, but if you switch up the colors, you can use it for anything. And you can put just strips of paper in behind. You could probably even weave as well if you wanted to. You can also take this lattice die and you can cut off portions of it. So in other words, if you don't want the scallops around the outside, you just want that grid pattern, you can get rid of that and use that on its own. You can cut pieces of this off so that you end up with an irregular shape of lattice work. Plus, when you run this through, all of these little squares pop out, and you can use those squares to create designs on your backgrounds as well. So there are tons of options. People want to know the price. I don't know the price of this. It's not priced. You can look it up online. This one is called Scalloped Grid, and it's from Pinkfresh. And the die and stencil combo is $60.99. You get the die, and then there are 7 layering stencils in this. So lots and lots of product to work with for sure. Okay, and so I'm going to show you how this kind of works and what you can do with it. So the first thing we're going to do to make the card that I'm going to make, I loved what Amanda did with this, and she probably got inspired by seeing something online, but we're going to walk you through how to do it. So she used the die cut as a stencil. So if you, oh, Christina, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. So if you cut this out of heavy enough paper, you can use it as a stencil. Now it's not going to last forever, but it will definitely do the job. So we're going to stencil up a panel using this cutout. So all I did was cut it out of the Nina 110 pound cardstock. And I'm just going to line this up on my background here. And I'm just going to use my magnets to hold this in place. Ugh. So it doesn't move around on me. And I'm simply going to ink blend right over top of this. Okay, so it's a very easy technique. Now, I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom because if you look at the card, she has kind of done the lattice work on the top, and then underneath here, it then turns into green ink blending on the bottom. I'll just give you an idea of how this is going to actually look. We may not assemble a complete card here, but I'm going to show you kind of the steps that you would take to get to that point. So I'm just going to pull out some Pinkfresh inks. And we are going to work with a color called Waterfall. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. I know I've showed it lots of times before. This is how I store my ink cubes from Pinkfresh. Now, this is not specific to Pinkfresh. You can use any ink cubes you want to store in here. When you open up the case, it has 2 sides, okay, like this. And Pinkfresh ink cubes come in packs of 4, and it is a graduated color system. So in other words, the color family goes from light to dark, and there's 4 different shades. It is really, really nice to use if you want to have that graduated color, especially when you're doing ink blending. You know, if you want to add deeper shades on your die cuts and things like that, it is amazing to use this system. Now, many of the other companies have ink cubes in gradient colors, but they're not as obvious as this. So I'm sure if you have Gina K inks, let's say teals or yellows or peach or whatever color you want to pick out, you can gather up colors in their ink families that will give you this graduated look. But inside here, there is a little plastic base that is removable. I have little ink cube stickers on there so that I know where my ink cubes go when I'm done using them. But they just nest right in that little tray, and that's what keeps them all organized. So I'm going to use my Pinkfresh inks today just to show you how awesome these inks are. The nice thing about Pinkfresh inks, and this is pretty typical of most dye inks, they have leveling agents in them. And so as you blend, the ink might look a little bit blotchy, but it smooths out as it dries. And it also lightens and actually blends when it's on your paper. So it's doing a lot of things after you're done blending. Carolyn is tuning in from Australia. Well, what time is it there? Because aren't they like, they're quite a bit different from our time zone. I would like to be in Australia. Okay, I'm going to grab my ink stand because it's right here. And I'm going to use Waterfall. Scallop lattice. I never thought of using it. Oh, you can do lots of things with things. Any kind of cutting plate that gives you a design, you can use for a stencil, 100%. And like I said, if you cut it out of heavier paper, then you can certainly get a few uses out of it. You'll definitely want the inks to dry in between though, because you don't want that ink to transfer over. I'm going to use the 1-inch blending brushes today from Pinkfresh. They are one of my favorite brushes for doing larger areas for the base. If I'm adding any detail, I'm going to switch brushes, which you will see me doing. But for the base, I'm definitely going to use these large brushes. And I'm simply going to brush over the piece of paper that I put down here. Now, you can actually do this technique and then stick the grid down and then ink blend over it just like this. Like if I had stuck this to my front, and that can give you a look as well. So just from this grid, if you want to just look at it from a background perspective, you have the actual die cut itself that you can stick down onto your paper and cut it out of whatever color you want. So just this piece, you can layer over it and use it as a stencil, or you can stick this down and then ink blend over it and use that as a look as well. Like there's so many things you can do. And I mean, I don't invent all these ideas. I'm just sharing them with you. I find them in videos and little things. Like sometimes I'm watching a whole like hour-long video and I get one thing that somebody says and I go, oh my God, I never thought of doing it that way. And it becomes a thing in my head. And then all of a sudden that sends me off on some kind of rampage of craftiness. And this is where I end up. So it just depends on, you know, what you're thinking and what you're doing. And that's the fun part about all of this crafting, is that it's such a journey that you go on. And it's just such a happy place to be. I love creating. And that's one of the reasons that I joined this card swap. I mean, I do a lot of creating for work, but I never do creating just for me. So when I'm doing my card swap, I don't have to worry about whether or not we have it in stock or how much product I'm using on one card, or, you know, do we even carry this or whatever. Like I can just do whatever the heck I want. I can be like a regular crafter like you guys. So that's my latest thing. And I'm really loving it. So I've always kind of wanted to arrange a card swap, like with the 2 Scrapbook Friends customer base. But it just feels like so much work for me. So I haven't ventured out that way. I don't know, maybe one day. Okay, so that's kind of the look that you can get by using this as a stencil. Now I'm going to remove the panel. Okay, so we're going to take that off. And you end up with this look. But this is not the look that is featured on here. You can see that the squares are darker. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to blend over top of what I've already stenciled lightly. So remember, you're building up your ink. You're not slamming it down and getting lots of deep color right away, because I don't want those shapes that I've stenciled in there to go away. I just want them to be less harsh. So I'm just going to blend ink over top, and you can blend and blend and blend until you get the color depth that you want. But that's how you're going to get this look right here. See? So now it's starting to show very similarly to what it is over here. So by blending the second time without the grid, we are now creating, we're getting rid of the white that was showing, and we're creating a lighter shade of the color we just used. You could go in there with a completely different color if you want to, but isn't that amazing? Like that is just so fun. And then we've got this piece over here that is looking pretty good on its own, just by ink blending an already die cut piece. It's different than blending a panel and then die cutting it. It gives you different looks. Loretta, saw your pics. Looks fab. Hello. Oh, yes. Hello. There's people tuning in and out, and I'm trying to watch comments, but it's hard. So yeah, you can get some really different looks just by using this die cut. And I can tell you right now, guys, we're probably going to sell out of this, and that's okay. Just let us know if you're still interested, and we will order more. If we don't hear from anybody, we assume everybody got what they wanted and we're just going to move on. You know, so just speak up if we do run out. So isn't that cool? I love how that looks. What do you guys think? Very cool techniques, right? Simple, basic stuff, nothing tricky. So that's how the base of this was created. So to do the bottom part, like see how down here you don't see the blue, the greenery is down here. You would just take a green ink and then you would come in and start blending the green. So I don't know what color we'll come in with. In this particular case, let's see what she used. She didn't use this type of ink. So I'm going to say we'll come in with something like grassy knoll. Okay, so I'm going to pull that over here and I'm going to grab my green brush and we are just going to pull in just straight ink blending. And it's going to blend kind of into the top where we stopped the blending with the paper stencil. And we're just going to bring in the green along the bottom like so. And then you get that beautiful transition from straight ink blending into the stencil and up you go. And then you can layer your die cut once you get it all stenciled up. That would go kind of on top like this. And then through there, you're going to see the grid end and the green start. So that's kind of the look that she created with this panel. Now I'm going to pick totally different colors on this. And when I stencil up my die cut, just so you can see how you can get versatility with the colors. Now I want to point out a couple of things. So you'll notice that a couple of these flowers are left white on the top. It just means that she didn't add the color on the that part of the stencil when she created it. She just left her paper white, which is really a cool idea. So a couple of these flowers really stand out from what is on there. I love that. And I'm also going to point out too how she's done some splattering with white ink on her die cuts before she goes ahead and sticks that down. So after all the ink blending is done, she splattered it with white and then she layered it on top of her grid. And you can see that there's a little bit of ink splattering in the background there too, which is a really nice technique. I love how that looks. So that's that. So that's how you do the grid thing with just paper and using it as a stencil, which is kind of a cool way to look at those. And again, look at the background dies that you might already have in your stash and think, okay, can I make a stencil out of this? Because that kind of opens up the versatility of those dies. They're not just for cutting out a background. You can use them for creating stencils too, which is kind of fun. Okay, clean up this really quickly. Got to grab my cloth out and we will have a clean work surface in a matter of seconds. And I will say we did get another shipment of these amazing microfiber cloths. You can buy these through our store and you can grab those now. So we have sold a ton of them and we can get more. We just have to sort of see. There's going to be a saturation point where everyone gets enough of them that we will stop ordering. But right now they are a hot commodity for sure. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to create the floral panel. Okay, so I've got a larger piece of cardstock than I need because what we're going to do is we're going to stencil and then we're going to die cut. So I am going to place this on a sticky mat here. Okay, and I'm going to pull out the stencils and I'm going to go in order, stencil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I've kind of mapped out some colors. I watched Jennifer McGuire stencil up something and she used colors similar to this. And I really liked the way that it looked. So the stencils are etched with a number somewhere. Oh, right at the top. So you won't be able to see that. I will. And we're just going to go ahead and place the stencil on here. Okay, this is not going to work ideally, but I'm going to use my magnets to hold this in place. Believe it or not, these magnets are strong enough. They will hold through the sticky mat onto my, my work surface. Okay, so that's going to kind of hold that in place for me. The reason I can't use my sticky mat to hold my stencil is because my paper is bigger than my actual sticky mat, so that won't work. I could cut it down a little bit, but I think this should work okay. Okay, so layer number 1, we are going to start with Emerald City. Okay, so there is a group of greens that has 4 different tones. And this is the third one in the color family. So it's the third darkest. Okay, so I'm going to go with Emerald City to start. And again, I'm going to use my green brush. And I have a brush just for greens, and I use it no matter what color green I'm using. All I do in between is use that microfiber cloth. And I just simply go back and forth with the brush. And the cloth will pull the color out of my brush if there's any ink left over in there. And I do this after I use my brushes too, because I don't want the ink sitting in there and hardening on the bristles. So I always clean my brushes before I put them away. But I just use this one. So there's no more green coming off that. I'm going to jump in here with this Emerald City. And I'm going to lightly blend. And I don't care if I go outside of the stencil or anything, because we're going to be using a die to cut out our design when we're done. So I'm going to lightly start blending. And we're just going to build up ink. So there are 7 stencils in this process. So while you're watching me do this, if you can be doing other things at the same time so that you don't get totally bored. If you have toilets that need to be cleaned or dinner that needs to be made, prop me up somewhere. If you happen to be watching on replay, you can just carry me around the house. And this is what I do when I try to watch a video. If you are watching on replay too, you can speed me up. You can make me talk at 2 times and we can whiz right through it because we're at an hour now. Like I said, I'm not going to complete the whole card, but I am going to take you through the steps. And I really think that stenciling this is an important part of it because it's really cool to see what you can do with the layers without switching the stencil. Okay, so we've got that. And then we're going to come in with a darker color. So I'm just going to take my microfiber cloth and I'm just going to wipe most of the ink off of my stencil. I'm not going to clean it completely, but we're going to come in with a darker color called Evergreen. So this is the darkest color in that family. Okay, and I'm only going to stencil the bottom part of this. I'm not going to stencil up at the top because I want those to remain lighter. So I'm going in with a darker color. So cleaning my brush isn't as crucial. And I'm going to focus a little more down here. And at first, it's not going to be very obvious what I'm doing, but eventually it will come into play. Okay, so you can see that I've left the lighter color at the top, and I'm just shading in some darker green at the bottom. So there, we're done. Okay, so now we can remove stencil 1. Okay, and that's layer 1. Doesn't look like much yet, right? Next up, we're going to come in with Key Lime, which is a different color family of greens. Okay, so Key Lime. And we're going to come in with stencil number 2. Now, to line it up, it's going to become pretty obvious. Plus, there are these little triangles that are stenciled out that you can use to line up your stencils. Those are going to come into play too when we want to die cut out our design. But when you are lining up those triangles, just kind of look at the areas that you have already stenciled and make sure your stencils are kind of lining up with those. So you're going to kind of want to look at both options. Okay, so I can put that magnet there because we're not stenciling anything up. Perfect. Okay, I'll just try with one. Okay, I'm going to come in with Key Lime. I'm going to just clean that green brush off again. Okay, and now I'm going to come in with Key Lime and I'm going to stencil the whole thing. Okay, the whole thing is going to be the Key Lime. So this is a different color family of greens. So when you are creating the base, all the greenery, the greens are going to be different. So then it looks like you've got lots of different layers of leaves, which is really fun. I love the way that that looks. And remember to swirl in both directions. Whoa. You don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up again. Hopefully this will not mess anything up. I think we're good. I'm just going to stick this down here just for extra. Okay, just swirl your brush around just so that it glides over the edge of the stencil in multiple directions so you get a good coverage. Okay, so now we're going to switch to a bit darker color. We're going to come in with olive, and that's in the same color family in that 4-pack, but it's the darkest color. And again, I'm going to add that darker shading. This magnet's in the way. At the bottom of my design, not at the top. And this just deepens the color on the bottom portion of the leaves and not the top. Okay, so we're just going to deepen that up a little bit. Perfect. So that's it for stencil number 2. Okay, so you can see, I'm just going to lift this up a little bit here. So you can see how you're getting the different tones of greens. And then it's lighter at the top, darker at the bottom. Looking pretty good, right? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, dinner has to be made, but you know, I can be with you. Not cleaning toilets. Every time I talk to Christina, she says, oh, I gotta go clean toilets. Yep, and if you do have multiple screens, you can have me going on one. Perfect, great. Glad to see that you guys can accommodate me. Okay, so now we're gonna come in with stencil number 3. Again, I'm lining up those triangles, but I'm also looking at my actual stencil and how it is being positioned in relation to what I've already stenciled, because that will help as well. You want to kind of check all the angles, and I will move these magnets around if necessary. Now, this is going to be a little bit surprising. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in teals, and we're still doing leaves. So I'm going to bring in waterfall, which is not green. And I'm coming back. This is what I used this brush for before. So I'm coming in with waterfall. Okay, and I'm going to go over all of this. And then I'm going to come in with a deeper color called Paradise. So same concept. This is fun. I love how this looks. And in the floral world, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to have red roses or yellow roses. You can have purple roses. And whether they make them or not in nature, it doesn't matter. Because we are crafters, we can do whatever we want. And I love that about stenciling, because you can really create all kinds of great stuff. Okay, so we've got waterfall almost all through that. I'm just going to slip this magnet over a little bit so I can get that top part. I was kind of hoping my husband might be making dinner while I'm doing this, but it doesn't sound like he is. Oops, I don't want to take this off yet. What I want to do is now go and get Paradise, which is a darker color. This was the lightest color in the color family. This is the 3rd color in the color family. So we're going a little bit darker. Okay, and again, I'm going to focus on the lower part of the stencil, making that much darker than the top. Well, not much, but you will see a gradient moving up the stencil. Okay, so there we go. That's stencil number 3. I'm loving how this is looking. Okay, so stencil number 3 is done. So there is our combination of, we'll call it greenery. Doesn't look like much yet, does it? But you can start to see the flowers starting to show up in the design. Okay, so now we're going to move on to stencil number 4. Okay, so now let's line these up. Just making sure I've got good coverage with my stencils, which I do. There's some big open spaces now for my magnets to go, which is nice. Okay, so stencil number 4, we are going to introduce the colors of our blooms now. So I'm going to go with Coral Reef and, where's Coral Reef? Right here. Coral Reef and Passion Fruit. Okay, so here we go. They're kind of corally colors. So we're going to start with our lightest one. All right, so what color am I going to bring in here for my brush? I think my oranges. Okay, so here we go. And we're going to stencil up all of those blooms that are showing. So there's 3, okay? And I'm just putting down a light shade. We're going to add some depth to this. Okay, so now we've done that one. Now we're going to come in with passion fruit. And we are going to add another layer. But I'm focusing more down towards the bottom of the stencil. Okay, so see how you're getting like sort of a smooth blend. And these brushes are really great for that. Now, if you find that you need to mask, because these brushes are quite wide, I don't want to come in with a really detailed brush yet. I still want the flexibility of this style of brush. So I'm blending a lot on the sticky note or the stencil itself, and I'm kind of pushing the ink up into that so you can get that the base looking a little darker and you still get the lighter part on the top. And that's really what you're going for. Okay, so that's starting to look really pretty. I love how that looks. Now, before we switch this color, I'm going to switch brushes. Okay, and I'm going to come in darker. So what I'm going to do now is bring in a more detailed, it's not even more detailed yet. I'm going to bring in my Altenew brushes, and this one is, the bristles are different. They're shorter, and so you can get a little bit more intense, but still give me a wider scope. And I'm going to darken up the base of that even just a bit more. But I'm keeping pretty close to the line. I still want that sort of darker edge, and then a little bit darker, and then a little bit lighter, and then lighter still. So that is kind of what I'm going for here. So I'm still sort of sticking pretty close to the edge, but giving it a little more depth. And now we'll remove this Post-it note. So we haven't even changed colors much or even moved the stencil, and you can really get a lot of detail in there. Okay, so that is the passion fruit. Now we're going to put on stencil number 5, and you're going to notice, look at how they're coming together. Isn't that cool? So stencil 5 is still another layer on those blooms that we just worked on. Okay, so that looks good. So with those particular blooms, I'm going to come in with yet another color. So now we're going to bring in Candy Apple, which is the darkest color in this family of colors. And I'm going to come in with an even different brush, because this is going to give me even more targeted coloring area. So I'm using my Altenew brushes that have this head. I always forget what size they are. I should put little labels on my containers so that I know what to tell you, because I always forget. Okay, so Candy Apple. This is a dark color. So I'm getting rid of some of the ink. I'm sticking very, very close to the base of that. Okay, I got rid of too much. Just to bring in some really dark shading. Well, it's not really dark. It just really enhances what we've already laid down. And I can see these colors blending and smoothing out as I'm stenciling. It's pretty awesome. So you can have a lot of fun with your blooms doing this. Okay, and now we've got 2 more blooms here. So I'm going to come back with that passion fruit. So I'm going to skip the light color. I'm going to come back with the passion fruit. And I'm going to put a layer of that down. Excuse me. And then I'm going to come in with my passion fruit again on my small brush. And I'm just going to darken up those edges. I had a bit of Candy Apple on there, but that's okay, because I can still intensify with the Candy Apple. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in the candy apple and really darken up the base of those. And this is a little bit different color yet than the ones that we did, because these ones still have that like coral on the top, and the ones I just am doing now, they do not. So it kind of gives you a variation in color. Okay, so there we go. I'm running out of room on my glass map. Okay, so there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Look how awesome those look. All right, and now we're going to move in to a lighter color, so I'm going to have to clean up this just a little bit here. But look how much ink I've got down here. I can do lots of stuff with the ink that's there. So working on a non-porous surface is really great. Like you can pick up all that ink and still use it, but I'm going to move on to different colors. So I'm just going to clean this off really quick. And I'm using alcohol spray to do that, so it dries pretty fast. Probably sprayed a little more than I needed. Just wave this over and it'll dry up in no time. And then that way I don't really have to wait. I can just move on. Okay, so now we're going to pull in Lemon Whip. Let's bring this back on. So we're doing stencil number 6. We're almost there, guys. So stencil number 6. And we're going to start with Lemon Whip, which is a very light yellow. So I need my yellow brush. Okay, so Lemon Whip. And I'm going to do the whole stencil, all the openings. And again, this is my base coat. So this is going to be my lightest layer. So just lightly layer on some color. And the great thing about these brushes is that it allows you to lightly layer. You can get deeper color if you want, but it's very easy to layer it on smoothly. Okay, so there we've got our light yellow down. And now we're going to come in with Sun-Kissed. So that is in the same, no, it's not. That is in a different color family, and it's not yellow. It's a very light sort of orangey color. So I'm going to go back to my orange brush. I'm just going to clean this off, make sure I don't have any dark colors on there. Okay, so now we're going to come in with this one. And again, I'm sticking more towards the base of those blooms. So see how I'm getting a little bit of orange on there, but not a lot. And I'm going to bring my sticky note back in here because I don't want to get stuff where I don't want it. I need another one. Sticky notes are great for masking off areas like quickly. And that just brings in that nice, soft, peachy color. I'm going to come up a little higher on this. Okay, and I'm going to cover this up. What do you guys think of this? I know it's not complete yet, so you can't see 100%, but I love how you can really play with the colors on this for sure. Okay, so there we've got our Sun-Kissed done. Now next up, we're going to come in with Mimosa, which is in the Sun-Kissed family, and Fruit Punch. So these are the darker shades in that family. And we are going to do it with the last stencil. So stencil number 7. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh. It is really fun to stencil these creations because it just comes to life right before your eyes. And then you get the gratification of saying, I made that. I did that. So now I'm going to take the lighter of the two. So this is Mimosa. And I'm going to come in with, where's my brush? Right here. Actually, I think I want an orange one. Okay, so I'm coming in with this larger brush. I'm just going to hit the tips. I just need to pull this over just a little bit. There we go. I don't like how that's lined up. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to hit the base. So I'm going up, you know, pretty far with this color. And then we're going to come in with one darker and a smaller brush. You don't want to cover it completely. You still want to have some of that lighter tone showing. But you do want to have nice coverage with this one. So it sort of blends that lighter color and this one together. Okay, and now we're going to come in with a more intense brush and a darker color. And we're just going to hit the base just to intensify the blending. Are we hanging in there? Yes, we are. Okay, good, guys. I'm impressed. My tummy's growling. Okay, so there we go. So that's the final layer of the stencils. So our design will be complete, but it's really not complete yet because we have to die cut it. And that's going to add a lot of detail to the design. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this off of my sticky mat here. And I'll hold it up so you can see. But that is the colors that we ended up with. Now you can see this looks a little bit harsh there, but that's going to level out and smooth out as those inks dry and blend together because they're still doing that while this is all drying. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take the die and we're going to place it over top. Now this might seem a little bit scary when you see it because you can't see your design. So you're going to flip this right upside down, but you're going to line up those triangles the best you can. And believe it or not, the stenciling goes beyond where the die cuts. So it's not as scary as it seems. Now, you do want to make sure that you kind of tape this into place. Don't free for all it through the die cutting machine because if it shifts, it's going to be a problem. So I am going to add some tape to this and make sure that I have it secure because I don't want to go rogue. Okay, so you're just going to pop that on there. Alcohol spray works on mosquito bites. Really? Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, so that's in place. I'm just going to run this through my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to come back and show you the magic. Okay. So this is a rather large cutting plate. So I'm putting this through my machine on a bit of an angle, just so that the edge of the plate doesn't hit square on. You want to go through like on a bit of an angle so that it doesn't put as much pressure on your design or on your plates. Okay, now we'll just remove the tape. So this is the wow factor. So did you guys know, here's another little tip. If you hold your tape, like, I'll show you on this one. So when you peel it back, hold it right down against your cardstock. There's less likelihood that it's going to tear. There's a little tip for you. I mean, the tape makes a big difference. This is the best ever craft tape from Spellbinders, but if you hold it really low and even with the paper, it's less likely to tear. I don't know why, but it just works. Okay, so we're going to pop this off. Now, before I pop out all the pieces, I'm going to hold it up again just so you can see the difference. See all the lines that this has added? It's so, so great. Okay, so now we're just going to pop this out. And it pops out pretty easily. I'm just doing the outer edge first. And then you have all like the little inside pieces, and you just have to pop those out. And this is where it really gets amazing. So I'm going to show you some of the pieces when they pop out, because I'm going to show you how easy it is to line your die up. Pinkfresh was brilliant thinking of this. It does not have to be 100% exact. I mean, you want to try to be as accurate as you can, but you kind of over stencil, and then it's a little bit forgiving. So I always take my tweezers. I never do this on my desk, by the way. I always do it over my garbage can, but just take your tweezers and just pop out those little holes that are not coming, because you want to make sure you get them all, because that's going to be what adds all the extra detail to your die cut. And there's teeny weeny ones, but they just pop right out. A couple more here. Okay, so I'm going to hold up. So here's a piece that popped out, and see how there's still ink on it? So your die is just slightly smaller than what you've actually ink blended out. So it is very easy to line it up. And this is your finished panel. Like, it just looks spectacular. Now what I'm going to do is grab a card base just so I can have something white to show you how beautiful that really is. And again, those inks are going to dry and change color a little bit, and they're going to smooth out and blend in together. So it's going to look really good. Now, just to give you an idea, I mean, you can see here on Amanda's card, she's created that beautiful stenciled backdrop. She lowered hers down a little bit, but you can get a completely different look by putting it on white. And then I also die cut out the word hello there in black, that I'm just going to kind of put down in the corner here, just to show you how those large die cuts really pop off against the color. Even though it's a pretty busy scene, it does work really nicely. And you don't want anything too big, because you don't want to cover up the whole thing that you've just stenciled. You really want to make sure that, you know, that all is still very visible. But I really love how that turned out. So just, you know, just to give you some different ideas. So here is one kind of color combination. And then didn't I have a second card here? Yes, this one here. This one has the lattice. Let me cover up this ink. Cutting plate, that scalloped plate kind of over top of the design. And then there's the one that we did. So they all look just slightly different, but really, really beautiful. And you can make them in any color combination that you want. So what do you guys think? Pretty amazing, right? And yes, I made it, but the stencil did a lot of the work for me. So you can see how much smoother the flowers look here versus once you splatter on the white ink, it makes it look a little bit more distressed. Amanda did a little bit more ink blending in some of her leaves, whereas I kind of left things a little smoother. So you can get really different looks for sure. And I still love this concept here where you left that part of the stencil white to throw in like some, you know, daisy type looks, which is really cool too. Okay, well, that is it. We went 1 hour and 28 minutes. So that is a long time. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you are watching this on replay, or you want to go back and watch it on replay, just remember you can speed me up. You can also drag that bar across the bottom too and make skip over some parts if you don't want to watch the whole stenciling process or whatever. I'm just going to point out too, you can see that cutting plate in the background of this one that just makes that pierced design. This type of design, it's really nice to use those in the background too, because it adds a little bit more detail to the plainness of it, but it doesn't take away from the design. So you can play around with all that kind of stuff too. All right. Well, I hope you learned a thing or two and you saw some product that you loved. And yes, please don't forget to give thumbs up. Even if you're watching it on replay, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It really makes a huge difference. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate it very much. And we will see you again soon.